So here we are, Ramjoo's diary, July 6, 1923. Overzealous policeman. Rustum came early this morning, as per the wire. We came to know the lot of fresh rumors that were current about Baba and party through mischievous agencies. After a private interview with Baba, Rustum went to see Mr. Desai. In the meantime, a local police sub-inspector, or something of the sort, came for inquiries. And in spite of his insolent manners, we gave him our names and certain information of and about ourselves. But the worthy, taking stock of our uncommon dress, took seat and, with crossed legs and the air of a high court judge, began to ask impertinent questions, at which, with Baba's permission, I began to retort in a like manner. The low-natured officer began threatening and puffing with rage, while the innkeeper observed neutrality. Suddenly, Rustum appeared on the scene. His smartly dressed person and his dried and cut answers rather embarrassed the policeman, especially when Rustum was followed by Mr. Desai, a well-known author, in parentheses, joint author of Maharaj's Life in Gujarati, close parentheses, and a distinguished resident of Navsari. This settled the matter, as a few words of Mr. Desai made the guardian of the law beat a quick retreat. After an interview, Baba accompanied Mr. Desai to his house. In the afternoon, the whole tramping program was changed for that of staying at Nasik for 3 months. Accordingly, Gustaji left for Andheri, along with Rustum, who was also going to Bombay by the afternoon train to settle with his relation there for the relation's bungalow at Nasik. Thus, the tramp came to an unexpected end after walking only 62 miles for 5 days. But on account of the Kaira episode, the present tour will always remain green in memory. After finishing with the evening meals, we all walked to the station at 8 p.m. As the train was due after a couple of hours, we all made ourselves comfortable on the platform grounds. Mr. Desai and a large number of his friends and acquaintances who had come to see Baba off sat surrounding him when Baba gave some interesting explanations on spirituality. At 10 p.m., we left Navsari for Nasik. Another remarkable fact about the tramp was that almost all places that we visited never came to our view fully, leaving aside the question of sightseeing because of our always entering and leaving the cities in the dark hours. July 7, 1923, Dadar, en route. After a very long time, Baba and the Mandali once again reached good old Dadar at 5:30 a.m. Gustaji and Burjari were present on the platform. We soon repaired directly to the GIP station, from where the Nasik train was to leave at 7:25. As word about Baba's coming had already been passed, Burjari, Bajifdar, and Navrozji and their respective family members began to pour on the station, followed by the Charney Road party. And within an hour, quite a lot of familiar faces got together. A very busy and engaging hour followed in exchanging news, etc. Dal rice was kept ready at Burjari's place and brought to the station to be taken along in the train. At 7:24, we left for Nasik with Masaji, who again joined us. And after some time, Baba distributed the dal rice to the party, while he had, as usual, taken only coffee at the Dar. A Parsi gentleman who had all along been watching Baba at the first opportunity fell on his feet with an ardent outburst of devotion and very hesitatingly withdrew after being caressed by Baba. Elizabeth, could you unmute and continue, please?
Sure. At 2:45 p.m., we alighted at Nasik and found Syed Saheb on the station to receive us. We took to carriages and reached Noman Bai's bungalow, where Syed Sahib had arranged for our stay. It is a fine, airy, and newly built building with well-kept grounds near the city and about 6 miles from the railway station. Syed Sahib soon brought dal rice and a dish of vegetables, but according to the program in force, Baba returned the latter, while the former made a hearty supper for all of us. It was after a long time that we had a decently prepared meal. Aragon briefly. Second stay at Bombay. July 8th, 1923, Aragon again. We had exceedingly fine weather today. Baba Gustaji, Baranji, and Munshi had come last night, went to select a spot for our permanent stay. They returned after selecting a spot at Ganjapur near the river. Late in the day, Baba again seemed to change the idea of staying at Nasik, and under the excuse of the child scare, it was ultimately settled to go and stay at Erangown. We all had baths. When the tramping as well as the staying at Nasik program was set aside, the food plan remained unchanged, and accordingly, dal rice is taken twice a day by the Mandali, and in the same way, Baba is also taking liquids only for food, which comprises mostly a couple of cups of coffee in the day. July 9th, 1923, Baba takes food. We again got up as early as 4:30 a.m. and within a couple of hours, all of us reached the station by Mr. Aziz Ahmed's car in 3 trips. Leaving Nasik at 7:30, we reached Manmad at 10:30. Masaji, as usual, prepared the dal rice outside the 3rd-class waiting shed, with some of us assisting him. After having meals, we boarded the dawn train, which left Manmad at 12:15, reaching Ahmednagar at 5:30 p.m. As soon as the train stopped on the platform, we started walking toward Erangown without even waiting to surrender our tickets. Once again, we made ourselves at home in Erangown, but quite unannounced and unexpectedly. Today could well be termed a very auspicious and important day, as Baba joined us in taking dal rice this evening after about 4 or 5 months. July 10th, 1923, settled in the post office. We got up at 5:45 this morning, and after some time, all were engaged in some work or other of making ourselves at home for a long time here in the good old post office. Slamson, Nasaji, and Padri brought fresh supply of necessities as well as some of the things from the depot, thus providing a surprise packet to Rustam's family. While Baidul and Nervous fixed and adjusted tiles and glasses on the roof and windows respectively, and the rest of us cooked food, etc., Baba first took a little dal rice and after 10 minutes distributed the same to the rest of us at 10 a.m. After meals, we again took to our respective jobs till 1 p.m. Rustam, who was supposed to be in Bombay, suddenly appeared at the post office just as I had finished writing a letter to him on behalf of Baba. As on account of a relation's death, Rustam has come soon back from Bombay. In the afternoon, Baba drafted out a program hereafter to be observed as regards work, recreation, getting up in the morning, as well as retiring for sleep, etc. This was mounted on cardboard and hung in the room when all were ordered to read and understand the same. The program on the whole was very inviting, especially as the recreation subject consisted of some fixed time daily in which Baba would speak and explain different subjects and points, so very interesting to us. July 11th, 1923. Unsettled again. After getting up at 6 a.m., we again took to our respective jobs of repairing, cooking, etc. At 8 a.m., we had our first breakfast and starting on the tramp, but of the usual dal rice to eat and water to drink. After that, as a bolt from the blue, came Baba's suggestion that instead of putting up an errand gown and creating some work for our occupation, we should go to Bombay as we all could be more usefully occupied there. Baba could also help. And advise, that doesn't make sense, and advise Bajidar in his book duty. The two chief points that Baba asked us to consider, particularly before coming to a decision, were the inconvenience of putting up in our office premises at Dadar, which would be too small for so many of us, and the other of finding some sort of job by each of us. The jobs were, of course, to be for a few months only, as long as Baba stopped at Bombay, just to leave him alone and keep ourselves occupied in the daytime. Further, there was no binding as to the nature of the work, which was to be found out according to our respective likings. But work all must, and find it within a fixed period of our arrival at Bombay. Even if someone fails to get a suitable job, he should engage himself as an ordinary coolie somewhere. Thus, if we were all willing to accept both points, only then, Baba said, he would leave Erangel. Although the matter was not finally settled, yet some of us were sent to the depot to bring our clothes, etc. Baba had declared to take fried pulse cake today for his meals and tomorrow for the whole day. He will remain on water only. While after that, Baba will be taking only coffee for his meals. July 12th, 1923, on the move again. No sooner were we up and about at 5:30 this morning than Baba asked us to decide about going to Bombay after a mutual change of opinions amongst ourselves. Immediately, a conference was convened under Ramjoo's supervision in the small, dilapidated mud hut nearby. After discussing the pros and cons of staying in the office at Dadar and the question of finding out a job, it was agreed by all to go to Bombay. Baba was informed of the Mandali's decision, upon which he again said, all shall have to work by the time he, Baba, was in Bombay, and that any one of us could, if he liked, go and stay home for that period. All remained firm in their decisions, so an order for packing was given and the atmosphere was once again lively. A slight breeze took place between Baba and Gustaji on account of Slamson trying to take undue advantage in the matter of packing the things, and Gustaji's encouragement to him. After packing our things in a bullock cart, we walked to the station and left Ahmednagar at 12:45, reaching Manmad at 5:30 in the evening. The usual dal rice was prepared and eaten by all of us in the waiting shed, just as we did it the last time. After waiting for some time, we left Manmad by the 7:30 train on the way to the one-time manzil at Dadar, the cradle of the close union of Baba with the circle, as well as the Mandali at large.
Beautiful, Elizabeth. Thank you so much. Ernie, could you unmute and continue, please?
You are welcome, my sweet Eugene.
July 13th, 1923, back at Bombay. In the dark hours of the early morning at 4:30 a.m., we alighted at Dadar and immediately repaired to our office rooms. On account of the repair and extension works going on at the Manzil, we found the compound in a very inconvenient condition. Especially the rains have turned the surroundings into a complete nuisance. In addition to the dirty surroundings, the interior of the office rooms was very damp too. because of the middle room having excessive leakage in the roof. We somehow fixed ourselves in the short space of the rooms that remained dry and clear of the office furniture. Some of us got shaved and had a change of linen. The first member who got engaged was Aga Badal. He got the same job that he had left at the time of leaving the Monsel, that of assisting in hotel work. The other member, who had also been out for a job, was Nervous, who returned in the evening in a sorry plight because his wonderful dreams of simply walking into the post of a chief cinema operator, because of his wonderful dreams of simply walking into the post of a chief cinema operator, as soon as he reached Bombay, fell down like a house of cards. There was really no need of being so very disheartened about and out of temper, but it was the bragging to which Nervous had committed himself at Arangan that made him have a fit of the blues, because at that time, Nervous was not only sure about himself, but repeatedly made unsolicited offers of getting a couple of us engaged as his assistants, etc. Besides the above, the visits of the Bombay Mandalay, including the Charney Road party, to Baba provided a buzzing engagement throughout the day. July 14th, 1923. Job hunting. Today, Bob Bureau and Masaji followed Badal in respect of getting employed at BDD Works and an Irani tea shop, respectively, while Bar Soap, Slomson, and Nervous were out for the whole day, unsuccessfully hunting after a suitable job for each. Consequently, in the absence of half a dozen members, the office's premises did not have the overcrowded atmosphere like yesterday, thus making up a bit for the gloomy, cloudy, and wet day outside. In spite of all the changes, the daily ration
Remains,
okay,
remains the same.
remains the same, is dal rice at breakfast, dinner, and supper throughout, which of course as much water to drink as required. July 15th, 1923. Myself fixed up. The heavy rains last night caused much inconvenience to some of us on account of the leaking roof. We got up at 6 a.m. Soon after, according to the prearranged plan with Muncie, I went to Charney Road, where I had my first regular breakfast with tea, etc. Since the first, because Baba has allowed all of us to eat and drink according to pre-tramp days after we get employed. After breakfast, I was nominally employed as a coolie or something of the sort under Munshi, with whom it has been settled that I should take my food and keep myself throughout the day. And like others, in parentheses employed, to return to Baba in the evening and pass the night with him and the Mandalay. July 17th, 1923. Routine again. By now, almost all of those of the Mandalay who were expected to work outside either actually got the respective jobs, or in some cases, certain jobs have been promised on a later date, and thus again a period of a fixed routine has begun. Baba has again begun taking vegetables. The characteristic narrow-mindedness of our landlord has again led to some dispute between him and Navraji, because of the former's failures to get the repairs done to the awful leakage in the office premises in time. July 24th, 1923. Hindu Fasting Day. Today being the Hindu Fasting Day, falling 10 days after the full moon, those who were all-time stayers at the office, in addition to Babu Rao, observed complete fast for 20 hours. In the afternoon, Babu Rao and Barsoap had been to the Vitolwari temple at Dadar to sell the Marathi edition of Sri Maharaj's life, but returned from there unsuccessfully. July 25th, 1923. The auspicious day commenced under easy circumstances in comparison with the last Ramzan festival passed at Arangan. After prayers, late in the morning, however, trouble arose. Baba seemed to be in an irritable mood, and suddenly he declared that Doctor, myself, and Cock were to begin taking meat, as we were hereafter free from the binding under Special Order 4 in this connection. This freedom would have been very welcome under normal conditions, but in the present instance, I did not quite feel comfortable, as I felt that the freedom was not quite offered by Baba of his own accord. However, after some time, myself and Doctor were called in Baba's presence. Baba asked us whether we really wanted to start eating meat again, start meat eating. If so, he said, today was the most suited for the purpose, and he would willingly permit us to do so. But as we assured Baba that we were not in a hurry so as to go back on our own decision of remaining strict vegetarians for that certain period, he canceled the order in the case of both of us, while Cock broke his fast today. The rest of the day passed uneventfully. August 10th, 1923. Folding work. Since coming to the office, nothing eventful has happened beyond the few facts already chronicled in the foregone pages. In fact, this is the first period of about a month since leaving the Manzil, during which Baba has kept at one place under a fixed routine. The chief occupation of most of us during this period was the folding, sorting, and mixing the pages of the Gujarati edition of Sri Maharaj's life as they came by parcel, ready printed for the press at Navsari. But as news came from Navsari that the remaining pages will take time, resulting in leisure for all the time stayers in the office, Baba decided to come to Lanavla for a few days. Consequently, myself and Doctor left Dadar this afternoon and came to Lanavla in the evening to arrange for Baba's proposed visit here. August 16th, 1923. Baba at Lanavla. According to the original plan, Baba and party were to come here early, but the subsequent changes brought Baba and party consisting of Gustaji, Ramjoo, Barsoap, Adi, and Rustam to Lanavla this evening by the express. The party was motored in Mr. Abdul Tayyib's car to Mr. Modney's bungalow, kindly lent by both the gentlemen, respectively, free for the purpose. Besides leaving his car, and at the party's entire disposal, Mr. Abdul Tayyib did not play a small part in making the general arrangements to make Baba and party stay here as comfortable as possible in the present monsoon climate. In the same way, Mr. Modney was obliging enough to extend the kindness of allowing the use of his bungalow for a prolonged period. To our great satisfaction, Baba liked the bungalow and surroundings, as well as the general arrangements, very much.
Thank you, Ernie. Mahu, could you unmute? Continue.
Okay. It's August 21st, 1923, and Baba visits my house. In spite of the wet, dark, and dull monsoon days, we passed the last 4 days very interestingly. The time was well passed in discussion, playing cards, and hearing the gramophone, as well as going out to Khandala, Walman, and Behushi lakes in the car. Sadarship and Vajifdar also paid visits. The most important event of the present visit concerning myself was Baba's gracious kindness in paying a visit with the party at mine and doctor's house this afternoon and taking tea at the former place. August 22nd, 1923. Departure from Lonavla. Departure from Lonavla. Baba and party left from Pune at 5 p.m. by car. He is expected to put up at Sadarship's place according to the present program. Myself and doctor are to follow the party tomorrow, and therefore we have already cleared away the things from the bungalow, and I have dropped a letter to Mr. Modney too about our vacating the bungalow this evening. This is August 23rd, 1923. Sudden return to Lonavla. Much as I am accustomed to Baba's unexpected and sudden movements, it was something like a shock to be informed early this morning that Baba had returned back from Pune here in the very early hours of the morning. I repaired post haste to the bungalow and tried best for the necessary arrangements possible under the circumstances. The so-called reason for this sudden return from Pune was, Baba said, the indifference showed by Sadarship towards him and party, which made him beat a retreat at midnight. After lengthy deliberation, it was, however, again decided that Baba and party were to go to Pune and stay at Abdullah Bahai's place in the camp, and to save disappointment to Sadarship and the Kasbah party, the latter were to arrange for the Mandali's food. Consequently, I left by the afternoon express under orders for arrangements. Of course, Abdullah Bahai was only too pleased to place his commodious house at our disposal. Hence, the furniture in the same was readjusted to suit the requirements, and after that I went and saw Sadashif, who agreed to make the necessary arrangements. Late in the afternoon, however, Sadashif wrote me that he was sorry he could not arrange about the food, that I should look after the matter myself. It was not hard for me to guess the reason of this sudden change of heart on the part of Sadashif, as he no doubt took ill of the fact that Baba should come and stay at Abdullah Bahai's place instead of his own, in spite of Baba's promise that he would stay at his place. Baba and party came by the evening express. The evening was very engaging in witnessing the festival night procession of tomb-shaped colored papers representing the tombs of Hassan and Hussein, today being the night of Muharram. Baba also watched the demonstration from Dr. Modi's dispensary, where Abdul Bahai had previously arranged for this and the party's seats. This is August 24th, 1923. It's titled Reconciliation. The whole of the morning was passed through a sort of a storm on account of Sadashif and the Kaspa party. However, the afternoon witnessed normal atmosphere re-established when Baba, followed later on by all of us, went to Arjun's place in the Kaspa, where Sadashif came to see Baba, and thus peace was declared. Afterwards, we all went to Sadashif's place and witnessed the paper tomb procession on its way to the river junction. After taking meals in the evening, Baba and party came back to Abdul Bahai's place, but this time with the willing concurrence of the Kaspa party. It was now again being agreed by the Kaspa party to make the food arrangements for the party. August 27, 1923. Easy times. Since the Kaspa party was reconciled to Baba's stay in the camp on the 24th, the atmosphere was remained harmonious without any further trouble. The Hindu party has been carefully and punctually arranging for Baba and party's meals. As it is proposed to go to Saswad tomorrow by Baba with all the members of the Bombay, Pune, and Kaspa parties in the early morning. Baba and party came to Sadashif's place to stay for the night. After having supper, we retired for sleep rather early, but the myriads of bloodthirsty bugs that came out of the nooks and corners made our sleep a very scanty affair. Gili Danda. As well as we had tea, as soon as we had tea, we started by car to Saswat, about 7 miles from Pune, and reached the site where a small tent had already been pitched. 2 or 3 more trips by car brought all the mandiri to the spot. Soon we were divided into 2 parties and started the game of Gilli Danda. The contesting nature of the play on both sides provided interesting sport the whole day, as, expecting the interval of meals, the game continued till late in the evening. Same as in the morning, the car brought us back to our destination in a very few trips, very conveniently. Of course, Baba and party came direct to Abdul Bahai's place, while the Kasha party was directly taken to Kasha Path in the car.
Thanks very much, Mahu. Betty, could you unmute and continue?
August 30th, 1923, Bombay again. It is now settled to leave for Bombay this afternoon. But as Baba wants to stop at Kirki at Mr. Muluk's place en route, we started from Pune by car and reached Kirki at 10 a.m. Mr. Muluk took us sightseeing the bazaar and his brickworks, etc., situated near his shop and house. After paying full justice to the nice food provided at Mr. Muluk's place, we came to the station by car, which was dispatched to Lonavala from here. At about 7 p.m., we reached Dadar by the Pune Express and once again made ourselves at home in the office quarters. September 2, 1923, office stay ends. The last 2 days since our return from Pune were passed under the same routine adopted since our stay in the office. But this evening again witnessed a change. Of course, for the last 2 days, Baba has been complaining about the many inconveniences of staying in the office, as well as the grudging of the landlord about our stay. But this was not enough to keep us prepared for so sudden a change as that of inspecting, approving, and deciding to stay in a room in the new building just completed in the big square at Parel, which Baba did in the short space of the late hours of this evening. Accordingly, Baba and some of us have already removed our beddings, while the rest will follow tomorrow in the morning. September 3rd, 1923. 3 changes a day. Preparations were just on foot for removing everything from the office this morning, when again Baba left the newly rented rooms at Parel on the grounds of inconvenient situation. Oh my goodness. And came to the new buildings opposite the Kohinoor Mills near Dadar tramway station. This building too is not quite completed. Still, certain rooms were selected by Baba and we began to remove our things from the office to this new quarter under orders, even before the formal settlement with the landlord was arrived at. Just after an hour, this latest change of site also began to be disfavored. Hence, Baba sent Ramjoo and Bajifdar to find out a more suitable space in the near vicinity of Dadar. They returned with the report of some places which can be had to our purpose, at which Baba personally started to have a look at them. Before going there, however, we looked up the quarters to let in the different buildings near the GIP station, and finally, the second floor in the Irani Mansions number 6 was liked very much by all. It has 3 small rooms, 1 big hall, 1 veranda, 1 kitchen, 2 bathrooms, etc., and so conveniently situated that it could be divided into 2 distinctly separate parts. Hence, according to the previous arrangements, Vajifdar is to remove to the western part, forming 2 rooms, 1 kitchen and 1 bathroom, with his family from the Banu mansion where he is at present putting up, while we have occupied the other part, where it has been decided to keep the office and our residence in the veranda, hall, and 1 small room respectively. Under orders, Ramjoo and Vajifdar, through the influence of another gentleman, settled formally with the landlord and brought his written permission for us to occupy the house this very evening. Though we could not remove everything from the office, yet some of the things that were already shifted in the new building opposite the Kohinoor Mills were reshifted in the Irani mansion, together with the respective beddings of all of us. While we all retired for the rest of the night in the Irani mansion, bringing our stay in the old office quarters to an end. September 8, 1923, Irani Mansions number 6. The last 4 days were passed very actively in removing the things to the Irani mansion, as well as making other arrangements. The huge wooden cupboards gave special trouble in hauling them up from the veranda with stout ropes, as the stairs proved too small for them. The office furniture is arranged on the veranda, excepting the cupboards, which have been kept on one side of the hall, leaving the rest of the space for the Mandalis' sitting and workroom in the day and sleeping room at night, while the small room adjoining the hall is used by Baba. Vajifdar has also removed to the other part of the premises, now rendered quite separate by the huge cupboards blocking the communicating doors. Since the completion of the arrangements, the work about the Gujarati edition is carried on vehemently, as Baba wants to see the first volume bound and ready to be out before he starts with the Mandali to Sakori on foot, as has been declared since a long time. October 18th, 1923, 1.5 months stay. Almost the whole of the last month and a half passed here in the Irani mansion was subject to a fixed routine of working on the Gujarati first volume by the all-time stayers in the mansion, while those who had jobs worked as well, took their meals at their respective places outside. The all-time stayers were served with the usual dal rice in the afternoon and a dish of vegetables, together with the loaves procured from the bazaar, same as for breakfast, made the supper. The former 3 dishes were always provided by Vajifdar's family members ready to the Mandali. The clothes were also washed by the respective members themselves throughout the period. Save for some evenings enjoyed out by the Mandali at the cinema shows and the Zoroastrian festival afternoon passed in witnessing a drama, there were no more unusual events to warrant a regular daily narration for the last 1.5 months. Well, in fact, since the good old Manzil days, this is the longest of the only 2 periods when Baba stopped at one place and circumstances for a long time. However, the book preparing work is finished, as already the first lot of the Gujarati first volume has been received from the binder, ready for publication. In the same way, preparations are also quite complete for the journey on foot from Bombay to Sakori, which is to be undertaken tomorrow morning. The only item that had been overlooked in this connection was a small bullock cart to carry the beddings, etc., of the mandali. But it was well remedied, though arranged at the 11th hour, because, as a strange coincidence, the bullock of the cart brought this evening proved to be the same that was with us while coming from Pune to Bombay on foot. The other important fact worth recording is the formal dissolution of the office of the Circle and Company, as almost all the books have been disposed of. Even the lot of about 1,000 copies presented for free distribution by various ladies and gentlemen have been kindly undertaken by the Director of Public Instruction for disposal amongst worthy students free of charge. The Gujarati edition is expected to be sold off as soon as it gets ready by the binder. Therefore, on the whole, the step is amply justified. The remaining few hundred copies of the various editions have been deposited at Bajifdar's place, thus sparing the big cupboards, enabling their immediate disposal, which has already been effected, together with the rest of the office furniture. Kakush Remasa is to rent the half of the flat, which will be vacated tomorrow. And thus his family will provide an excellent neighbor to Bajifdar's family, enabling the latter to freely accompany Baba. I'm sorry. Thank you. Enabling the latter to freely accompany Baba at the time of going to Persia. In fact, this is the chief reason of Baba's frequent changes for selecting suitable places, and consequently bringing the office and Bajifdar's residence in the Irani mansion, because it is long since a decided fact by Baba that Bajifdar is to accompany him to Persia. Though passports for many more in addition to Baba have already been issued so quickly through the unique endeavors of Navrozji in this connection, yet the number of those who will be going to Persia cannot be guessed or considered as a decided fact. By the first week of October, Baba began one meal and tea in 24 hours.
Good place to
Okay.
pick up next week.
Goodness, what a lot of, oops, do we need to stop recording now?
Yes, ma'am.